I'm going to talk about the situation in the Ukraine. I've been doing some research, and I'm going to give you a general overview which includes much more than what the Western mainstream media is giving you or what the Russian mainstream media is going to give you, because both of these are basically propaganda. And propaganda is the thing that is distorting the information to move it away from the full truth. So I'm trying to give you a more full picture, a closer, more accurate version that is truthful. And it's actually hard for me to do that because I'm not there, but I'm going to use my
So I'm not taking anybody's side, although the fact that I've grown up and become fond of the American culture, American society, the American historical heritage, the myth. But having said that, I'm also more of a global human being. I travel anywhere that I am called to go to. That means I make the decision, and it's my own being, my own life. So here are these different places in the world that are coming to clash at an intersection point
of the world right now. The focal point is the Black Sea region, north of it, the Crimea.
It's wise to look at this on a map. You really want to see this on a map. Because without seeing that, you don't see the geographical, geometric reality of it. Right now, we are looking at the doorstep, or the entryway, the juncture into Russia. So right there, the ball is in their court. The United States, what do they have to do with it? This is not even their continent. Well, okay, so they're the world's policemen. Well, they're the world's first modern superpower. The United States is the first nuclear power, atomic power, of the atomic age.
They had the first weapons of mass destruction.
You know, the Third Reich and the Nazis, Blitzkrieg. You know, if you want to call it a weapon of mass destruction. Now, when you go from the late 40s and 50s, you have a period which is fondly, or, you know, in some kind of distorted way, saying it's the Cold War. So the war is getting cooled down. It's kind of frozen into a suspended state. And what happened was the creation of the Soviet Union happened, and there's that sphere of influence, that communist bloc that happens. And this went on for about 40 or 50 years until it started to break up. And then it becomes disparate, former imperial civilization. And Ukraine is part of that.
And in other words, comparing the timeline of what's happened and all the different arrangements that they've had and the different powers that have been involved with ruling over them, and who's been making money on it, and who their friends are, and also, you know, what the atrocities are. When have they had genocide? When have they had revolutions, quote unquote? When they've had struggles.
People of the United States, people of Russia, need to find out what the facts are, and then they need to admit it. They need to make a confession about their...
If they're like actually the same people. It's like Dr. Jekyl and Mr. Hyde of the superpowers. Dr. Jekyl and Mr. Hyde of each one of them.
They're doing things behind the back. They're being hypocrites. They're saying one thing and doing the other. That's what's going on. That's what I found out. Yeah, actually that is showing us that reality, or what's being said to be reality in the media, is actually not what's going on. Reality is the opposite of what we're being told. So when it says that the Ukrainians want freedom and they want change, they all want to go away from the Russians.
We need to start thinking they want to have a Western influence, a connection to Europe, the EU, and NATO.
They want us to believe that, so they're putting this out as propaganda. Because then we won't understand, you know, why are the snipers shooting on the police? The police are the, what do they call them? What is that?
Berkut is the term in the Ukrainian language, which is a golden eagle. That's what they call it. But this is the name for the SWAT teams or the military.
This is the Special Forces Police, but actually it's kind of a wing of the military. So,
but the Berkut are the ones that were getting shot.
And what the West wants us to believe is that these people were being
shot by snipers, and the snipers have nothing to do with the West, but actually they have to do with being Russian influence.
You know, these snipers are also, the background of all this is that they got funding from the West. It's pro-West. Oh, so who would that have been? You know, who would that have been? Interesting. That this is who's giving orders to the snipers. So snipers are killing the legitimate government of Ukraine.
Together. Just connect the dots here. So what happens with the Berkut? They reassembled over into eastern Ukraine. Now they're working directly with the Russian troops that have come in. See, this is what's interesting. They're gone and they've assimilated into there, and they're doing, you know, different kind of maneuvers. Basically, they split the country, and I saw that they built a makeshift barbed wire fence, which is demarcating a new border, an international border, because they've split it. So this is basically like the partition of Germany in 1945. They split it into East-West. So, I mean, we're in the Cold War in reverse. So, my prediction is going to be this. I haven't said any things about Russia right now, but I would just, look, whatever I say about the United States, I would say about Russia also. Russia wants to increase its amount of power. It's making excuses that, the NATO was putting more missiles in to Eastern Europe while they signed the treaty and only expected unilaterally for the Russians to back off and to demilitarize. So they were saying, their big statement over the past few years is, we're getting concerned. We should be concerned about this. Rightly so, for their sovereignty, right? There's the imperial sovereignty like the United States has, or like the EU has. So basically, what's happening is it goes along with my prediction of when World War III, what everyone else would see as World War III. I already think that we're involved in it. But it's really going to start heating up within the next... What was that year that I come up? Oh, I calculated this out. Okay, it's going to be in about 8 years. But you could see a lot of this regional stuff jumping around, leapfrogging around the world. And it's not like this thing where, what was it, Nixon said there was going to be a domino effect. That was his excuse to escalate things in Vietnam. Nam is what it's called, not Nam. I doubt that they pronounce it Nam. So it's going to leapfrog around, and they're going to isolate it here, they're going to isolate it there, and then that's going to be cover for things that they're setting up. There's somewhere in the world right now where they're doing the setup, and you don't know what that is yet, unless you're deep inside. You would know about it, and you'd probably be like part of the game plan. You're on the team. If you're not on the team, if you're not one of the decision makers, if you're not one of the imperialists, you're not going to know. You're going to be like every one of us until it splashes out into the mainstream media. It's going to be speculation. Now, I could name a couple places where I expect things to really explode into all open gun battles like that's happening in the Ukraine. You trace it back, and you got to compare this to Syria. You have to compare this to Egypt. You have to compare this to Libya. So you can draw a line there. You can draw a line. Actually, it goes click. So you would expect something maybe to happen. They could go up into the Baltic states. They could go into Poland and cause some ruckus. Or maybe they're heating things up in Southeast Asia. That could be possibly what's going on, and some people are connecting this disappearance of the Malaysia-Beijing flight as having to do with North Korea, but like I said, it possibly has to do with Malaysia or Vietnam again. So you can look for any of that area to be heating up. You can look for many areas of Africa to be going off as smaller skirmishes or battles. You can also look at Venezuela as something that's going to be going on and heating up. Venezuela. In fact, it's already going on. You hear some reports of what's happening. But the Venezuelans are adamantly sticking to their sovereignty. They're a big money capitalist state of their own, and they're still somehow in association with Cuba. But you can look at some of the other South American, Latin American, Central American countries. Honduras right now has been put into action. It's more activated. It's got military training going on. So it's not an all-out war, but it's being militarized by the United States powers. So you got to keep that consideration as we build up into, by the way, thank you, and you building up into an all-out heated world war. We also need to talk about Mexico. Mexico's been kept destabilized, and that has to do with money for guns, for drugs, for money. So this is a vicious cycle that's going on, and you cannot just blame the United States' desperate hunger for drugs and cocaine. You can't just blame the Mexicans that are out in the field producing the marijuana. You can't just blame either side because, like I said, it's a vicious circle, vicious cycle. And there is no way to stop these things until you raise a generation that culturally, psychologically, and in their spirit, in their soul, does not want to do these type of things. They don't want the money, they don't want the drugs, they don't want the guns, they don't want the fighting, and they don't want these kinds of empires. Well, what is the solution? You've listened this long, it's almost 16 minutes of the video, and I'm going to tell you what the answer is. It's going to be something akin to Sharia law, and the equivalent of Sharia law is in the Jewish law. And that is going back to strict Deuteronomy, Numbers, all the books of the Pentateuch, and the law is very strict, very severe. Kosher law, and it doesn't just have to do with food. We're talking about the law under Christ, Jesus Christ, which was brought here, and that has not much to do with the commercialized, contemporary, Americanized Christian megachurches, which has just been thieved in Texas, because obviously that's their karma. They lost, the stated sum was over 600 grand. 600 G's, 600K, 600,000 from their megachurch of this real loopy preacher who has a big smile and a big wallet. Now, having said that, what is going to establish this kind of strict law onto the population of the earth? Those that are willing to accept it. Those that are willing to bow down on their knees and be that kingdom, that domain, under the dominion of the Lord. There you have the answer, is when the Lord comes back. So, we've talked about World War III, we've talked about what the people have to go through, we've talked about the fact that it is coming. That's what I say, that's what I believe, that's what I know. As sure as you've heard this video, as sure as you see me here for more than 8 years in the public, I'm not stupid. I'm telling you, I put all this together. This is the only future, the only solution, and it's coming whether you like it or not. So you can be on the side that wins, or you can be on the side that loses and goes all the way down into the black hole of hell. Oh well, you think the Ukraine has it bad? You think that Russia has it bad? You think that the United States has it bad? Your economic problems, your dollar collapsing, your ruble collapsing, all your disgusting problems of your modern society. You ain't seen nothing yet. Just wait till the Lord gets here. You're going to be slapped fucking silly. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please leave your comment. Reveal yourself as to who you are. And by all means, piece together your own bigger picture scenario if you think you can come up with something better. But I don't have a dog in that fight. I got one way to go. That's what I'm already doing. I'm not waiting for it. I don't need a sign. I don't need someone to tell me. I already know. None of you can tell me yes or no. It's already done. So you're either with me or you're against me.